Right now, as you're watching this, someone in America is packing boxes, loading a moving truck, and leaving behind everything they've known. Not for a job promotion in another city, not for an adventure, but because staying has simply become impossible. Over the last several years, something extraordinary has happened across this country. Millions of Americans have made a choice they never imagined making, abandoning states they called home, sometimes for generations, in search of something their own communities can no longer provide. And if you find this breakdown valuable, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss our deep dives into what's really reshaping America. Between 2024 and 2025, the pattern has continued with remarkable consistency. North Carolina, Tennessee, and the Carolinas dominate as top destinations, while traditional powerhouses like California, New York, and Illinois continue recording massive outflows. According to migration data and moving company reports, the numbers reveal a country being fundamentally resorted along lines of affordability, opportunity, and quality of life. This isn't just statistics. This is families making calculated decisions about their futures, professionals reassessing what their careers are worth, and retirees discovering that the places they built their lives can no longer sustain them. What follows is a countdown of the 10 states Americans are leaving most in 2026, and more importantly, the forces driving them away. Some of these states were economic engines not long ago. Others seem stable, predictable, even desirable. But in just a few years, the equation changed. The cost became too high, the stress became unbearable, the future became uncertain, and millions decided they had to go. Number 10, Pennsylvania. Tradition can't overcome economics. Pennsylvania is steeped in history, strong regional identities, generations of families rooted in the same towns. Yet tradition alone can't hold back demographic trends driven by economics. The state continues to lose residents steadily, especially younger workers and retirees seeking better financial situations. The industrial legacy still haunts much of Pennsylvania. Johnstown, Erie, Scranton, and parts of Pittsburgh have never fully recovered from manufacturing's decline. While Pittsburgh has rebuilt pockets of tech and healthcare growth, many smaller cities remain stuck in a cycle of limited opportunity and aging infrastructure. Younger residents, especially those with college degrees, look at these cities and see few pathways to advancement, so they leave after graduation and most never return. Taxes compound the problem. Pennsylvania's flat income tax seems reasonable at first glance, but local property taxes and school district levies can be crushing, especially in areas where wages haven't kept pace with costs. Add aging infrastructure, uneven school quality, and slow job creation, and the decision to relocate starts feeling less like abandonment and more like financial survival. Retirees contribute significantly to the outflow. Many Pennsylvania seniors are trading gray winters and high property taxes for Florida, the Carolinas, or Tennessee, states where their retirement income stretches further and the climate is gentler. Pennsylvania remains culturally rich and deeply loved by those who stay, but the economic currents are pulling people away faster than the state can replace them. Number 9, Hawaii Paradise. Lost to practicality, Hawaii is everyone's dream vacation. Turquoise water, volcanic mountains, sunsets that look unreal. But for the people who actually live there, daily life has become financially unsustainable. The cost of calling paradise home has spiraled so far beyond local incomes that thousands of residents are being forced out each year. Housing is the primary culprit. Even modest homes regularly exceed $1 million. Rents have climbed to levels that dwarf what most local salaries can support. Utilities rank among the nation's most expensive. Groceries come with built-in shipping premiums. Insurance costs have surged. Every aspect of daily life in Hawaii carries a financial penalty that compounds over time. Then there's the job market. Tourism dominates, providing steady work but limited upward mobility. If you're a young adult with ambitions in technology, finance, engineering, or other high growth fields, the mainland offers opportunities Hawaii simply can't match. Many leave reluctantly, knowing they may never be able to afford to return. This creates a quiet but devastating exodus. People who love the islands, who were born and raised there, who would stay if they could, leaving because the numbers don't work. They're moving to California, Washington, Nevada, Texas, and other states where they can build sustainable careers and lives. Hawaii will always be paradise to visitors. But for locals, paradise has become a place where only the wealthy or financially trapped can remain. Number 8, Michigan Renewal can't outpace the exodus. Michigan is working hard to reinvent itself. Detroit is no longer the symbol of urban collapse it once was. Grand Rapids and Ann Arbor offer vibrant communities and growing industries. But despite these bright spots, Michigan continues to lose residents at a significant rate. The state's industrial legacy remains both its identity and its burden. While Detroit has stabilized, many smaller cities and rural counties have not recovered from decades of auto industry, downsizing, and manufacturing decline. Job growth outside a few key metros remains inconsistent, and younger residents often feel they need to leave to find faster moving career opportunities. Climate plays a major role in migration decisions. Michigan's winters are long, snowy, and brutally cold. Road conditions deteriorate, heating costs climb, daily life becomes more difficult for months on end. When residents compare these realities with warmer, fast growing states in the South and West, where job markets are expanding and housing feels more attainable, relocating starts looking like the smarter move. To be fair, Michigan has pockets of real renewal. Tech sectors are growing, universities continue to produce talent, but statewide, these positives aren't strong enough to offset the losses spreading across older industrial regions and rural areas. Michigan remains a state with deep pride and undeniable potential, but many of its residents clearly see more momentum elsewhere. Number 7, Maryland, when proximity doesn't equal. Affordability, Maryland should be a population magnet. High median incomes, strong schools in many suburbs, proximity to Washington, D.C., and access to federal and tech sector jobs. Yet in recent years, Maryland has lost over 120,000 residents to other states, one of the largest domestic outflows in the mid-Atlantic. The core issue is affordability. The financial pressure of living near the Washington-Baltimore corridor has been climbing for years. Housing costs have surged to the point where even middle-class families with solid incomes feel squeezed. Property taxes, insurance premiums, childcare expenses, they all compound into a monthly budget that stretches paychecks to the breaking point. Traffic adds another layer of chronic stress. Commutes on the Beltway and I-95 routinely consume hours each day. For many residents, the daily grind eventually outweighs the benefits of proximity to good jobs. Remote work accelerated the shift dramatically. Once people realized they could keep their careers while living in cheaper states, Maryland began hemorrhaging residents to the Carolinas, Florida, Texas, and even nearby West Virginia. Maryland still offers stability, strong opportunities, and access to major institutions. But the combination of high expenses and chronic congestion has convinced many families that their quality of life would improve by leaving. By number 6, Louisiana, culture can't outweigh risk. Louisiana has culture unlike anywhere else in America. Music, food, festivals, a sense of identity you can't replicate. Yet in recent years, the state has lost well over 100,000 residents through net domestic migration, a massive outflow for a mid-sized state. Economic challenges are at the core. Louisiana has high poverty rates, limited economic mobility, and a job market heavily reliant on petrochemicals, ports, and tourism. While these industries bring revenue, they don't consistently create the broad middle-class opportunities that anchor people long-term. Many young residents look toward Texas, Georgia, or the Midwest as places where wages climb faster and career options feel more stable. Crime is another major factor. New Orleans and Baton Rouge struggle with high violent crime rates, pushing families to seek safer, more predictable communities. Add in aging public services and uneven school performance, and the appeal of leaving grows stronger. But what truly sets Louisiana apart is climate risk. Hurricane seasons have grown more damaging. Insurance costs have skyrocketed. Coastal erosion continues to erase communities along the Gulf. For some residents, rebuilding after storm has become too much financially and emotionally. Louisiana remains vibrant, unique, and deeply loved by those who stay. But the combination of economic strain, safety concerns, and climate pressure has driven many to seek more secure futures elsewhere. Number 5, Massachusetts. where success becomes unaffordable. Massachusetts is one of the most educated and economically powerful states in the country. World-class universities, thriving hospitals, some of the highest wages in the nation. Yet it has lost over 160,000 residents through net domestic migration in recent years. The reason is brutally simple. Living in Massachusetts has become financially overwhelming for a large share of its population. The housing market tells the clearest story. Home prices shot up rapidly during the early pandemic years, surging by double digits in many greater Boston areas. Now, estimates suggest a buyer needs well over $160,000 in annual income just to afford an entry-level home near Boston. Renters face similarly crushing costs, with monthly payments among the highest in the Northeast. Taxes and everyday expenses amplify the strain. Groceries, utilities, transportation, insurance all sit well above the national average. For families balancing student loans, childcare, or elder care responsibilities, the financial load becomes unsustainable, even with high incomes. Remote work accelerated the exodus. Once people realized they could keep their jobs while living somewhere cheaper, states like New Hampshire, Maine, Florida, and the Carolinas became increasingly attractive. Massachusetts remains intellectually vibrant and economically strong. But the affordability crisis has pushed many residents to look for more balanced, less stressful lifestyles elsewhere. Number 4, New Jersey, the tax trap. New Jersey has a lot working in its favor: proximity to New York and Philadelphia, strong public schools in many suburbs, a diverse economy, yet it has lost nearly 200,000 residents through net domestic migration, making it one of the top states people are leaving. The biggest factor is property taxes. New Jersey has the highest property tax rates in the entire country. Many households pay the equivalent of a second mortgage each year just in property taxes. Combine that with rising home prices, expensive insurance, and some of the highest commuting costs in the Northeast. And even families with solid incomes struggle to keep up. Remote work dramatically reshaped the landscape. Once residents realized they no longer needed to be within commuting distance of New York or Philadelphia 5 days a week, thousands began relocating to nearby Pennsylvania, the Carolinas, Florida, or Texas. The difference in monthly expenses can be thousands of dollars, making the decision far less emotional and far more practical. New Jersey still offers safety, strong communities, and excellent schools, but the cost of maintaining that lifestyle has pushed many residents to look elsewhere. Number 3, Illinois, the slow bleed continues. Illinois has been losing residents for well over a decade, and the trend shows no signs of slowing. Recent data shows the state recorded a net domestic migration loss of more than 400,000 people, one of the largest population outflows in the entire nation. One major factor is cost of living, driven heavily by property taxes. Illinois consistently ranks among the highest in the country for property taxes, burdening homeowners and discouraging long-term investment. Even middle-income families find themselves paying far more than they would in neighboring states like Indiana or Iowa, where taxes and housing costs are dramatically lower. Chicago plays a complicated role. While still a major economic center, many residents cite concerns about crime, uneven neighborhood investment, and rising city expenses as reasons to leave. Remote workers who once commuted downtown no longer feel tied to the city or its costs. Others leave simply because their income stretches 2 or 3 times farther elsewhere. The state also continues to face long-term financial pressures, including pension obligations that limit its ability to lower taxes or expand services. For many families, the uncertainty becomes too heavy, and relocating starts to feel like the safer long-term choice. Illinois still has strengths: cultural depth, economic influence, world-class institutions, but none have stopped the sustained outflow. Number 2, New York, the affordability reckoning. New York remains one of the most influential places on earth, but its population numbers reveal a complicated reality. While New York City's population has started to rebound with growth of 87,000 residents between mid-2023 and mid-2024, reaching 8.48 million people, the state overall continues to face significant migration challenges. Affordability is the central issue. Housing in New York, especially in and around New York City, has become nearly unreachable for many households. Even renters face enormous costs, with prices rising faster than wage growth. Add in high taxes, expensive insurance, transportation costs, and some of the steepest childcare prices in the nation, and the financial pressure becomes unsustainable for a wide range of residents. Quality of life concerns also influence decisions. While New York City continues to attract young professionals and global talent, many residents cite rising disorder, long commutes, and burnout as factors pushing them towards states with a calmer pace and more space for the same money. Recent analysis confirms that moderate income households are more likely to leave New York than other income groups, with affordability challenges driving out migration, while the top 1% of earners actually show lower rates of leaving. Remote work opened the door to Florida, suburban New Jersey, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, all offering lower costs and more room to grow. New York is still vibrant, innovative, and magnetic, but the scale of past outflows shows how difficult it has become for everyday residents to build long term stability there. Number one, California, the Golden State's great departure. California is still the dream in many people's minds. Ocean views, mountains, world leading industries, near perfect weather. But the daily reality has diverged sharply from the fantasy. California's population has actually started to rebound, growing by 232,570 to reach 39.4 million between mid 2023 and mid 2024, a rise of almost 0.6%. This marks the second consecutive year of growth after pandemic era declines. However, the growth is entirely driven by international immigration, with approximately 240,000 Californians still moving out in 2024, while over 361,000 immigrants arrived. Housing remains the biggest force behind domestic outflows. In many coastal metros, home prices have climbed so high that even strong incomes cannot keep up. Renters face similar pressure, with monthly payments that often rival mortgage costs in more affordable states. Add in high state income taxes, expensive utilities, rising insurance premiums, and the general cost of living, and families across the middle class feel squeezed from every direction. Quality of life pressures compound the equation. Long commutes, wildfire seasons, drought concerns, the emotional weight of living in areas where the cost of everything rises faster than paychecks. All of these push residents to consider alternatives. Remote work removed the last barrier. Once people realized they could keep California level salaries while living in cheaper states, departures accelerated to record levels during the pandemic years. As of recent data, the average California home costs about $942.10, while the US median sits at $436,600. In top destination states like Texas and Arizona, home prices average around $303, $321, and $429, $120 respectively. Californians aren't leaving because the state lacks beauty or opportunity. They're leaving because they want a version of that lifestyle that doesn't demand financial sacrifice at every turn. And that's why, despite recent population rebounds driven by immigration, California remains the clearest symbol of how cost and migration are reshaping America. The pattern is clear. The patterns across these 10 states reveal a fundamental truth about modern America. People are moving not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Housing costs, taxes, insurance, and shifting job markets are reshaping where Americans can realistically build futures. These decisions are deeply personal for each family, yet together they form one of the most significant migration trends in recent decades. As these changes accelerate, states gaining residents face pressure to expand housing and infrastructure. States losing population must confront tough choices about budgets, services, and long-term planning. Understanding these forces is essential because migration trends are already influencing politics, business investment, and the geography of opportunity itself. Which state on this list surprised you the most? Would you ever consider moving for a better quality of life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this breakdown gave you a clearer picture of what's happening across America, make sure you're subscribed so you catch our next deep dive into the trends reshaping this country.